And welcome to the Carolina Panthers postgame show. I'm the coach, Dick Cox, joined by the brother, Bill Cox.
It's good to be here with you today, Dick.
We're going to brotherly double team you today here. We both came here today in search of a win to salvage our weekends. The Paladins and Gamecocks both took it on the chin last night. I tell you what, sitting through the first half of today's game, I thought we were going to go 0 for 3 though, but something funny happened on the way to another loss. The Panthers caught a break right before halftime on a missed field goal by an all-pro kicker. Gave them new life. Instead of being down 17 at the half, they were able to drive the length of the field, score, and make what should have been a 24-7 lead at the half by the Chicago Bears only be a 21-14 lead there, and the Panthers were right back in the game.
They are. It looked early on like it might be another blowout loss after the last couple of weeks. But I guess one of the words that we heard in the locker room from several of the players was the word resilient. The Panthers refused to give up. They hung in there when it looked like after giving Chicago 2 easy touchdowns, they hung in. And as you said, was huge right before the half. They could have very easily gone into the half 21 points down. They dug in, held them to a field goal attempt, which as you said, was missed. And so instead of being possibly 21 points down, they were 7 points down. And I think that was a huge lift going into halftime.
Well, I was kidding you coming into the game that my nickname for Jay Cutler is 50 cents because he's only good for 2 quarters. And we both said at halftime that we hoped that he had gotten his 2 good quarters in the first half. Well, he did because he threw a couple of picks in the second half and also I think had a fumble, and the Panthers were able to hold the Chicago Bears to 3 points and look like the team that was one of the top-ranked defenses the first 2 weeks of the season. They looked that way in the second half.
As in a lot of games, turnovers made the difference. In the first half, it was the Panther turnovers that gave Chicago 2 easy touchdowns, but then as we got in toward the end of the game, it was the Chicago turnovers that put the Panthers right back in it.
You got to give the Panthers credit right now, too, because, I mean, they have had some tough luck with injuries. When you get down to where you have your 5th and 6th string running back, really your 7th string, because the 6th string running back got cut after he fumbled last week. They brought a new kid in, or a new player in this week, that went out there that they signed late in the week. He played today, and I give those guys credit. You've got 2 guys that probably would not even be on anybody's rosters right now that filled in and did an adequate job today in keeping the running game respected for the Panthers.
If you're not a fan of classic rock, this won't mean much to you, but at times today it was like the Panther running back core was the Who. No one was real sure who it was, even in the press box, people having to take a look and figure out who was trying to run the ball. And I think probably one of the plays that was most indicative of how far down into the roster it was one time Newton took the snap, turned to his right to hand off, and there was nobody there, and so he turns off and hands off to his left to one of our new running backs. I don't even remember who it was, and actually got an actually decent gain out of it. But the guys hung in well, even though they've not been the ones that have been playing this season.
You know, it's been the same way, too, at times. The Who is lined up at receiver this year on who is playing receiver. But one thing that's been consistent this year as it was last year has been the play of Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen, the tight end, was their leading receiver last year. Sprained his ankle, came back in the ball game, caught the winning touchdown, got on a big 3rd down play, got it 1st and goal for him, though. But Greg Olsen continues to be, I guess, the guy who, the most trusted receiver of the receiving core of the Panthers.
Definitely a class guy, and I'm thinking, I don't know this for a fact, but I believe he's probably bringing a lot, not just with his own play, but in terms of leadership to the other receivers. When this season started, once again, we didn't know who might be even catching the ball, if anybody besides Olsen might be catching the ball after the fire sale of receivers last year. But I really think I don't think the receivers have been the problem this year, even in the losses. They've looked good at times. Obviously, we lost a lot as far as receivers, but Benjamin and others have stepped up, of course, along with Olsen, and performed well.
And while we're on the topic of the Who, and I guess we should be, because this is now Rocktober that we're in right now, referring back to another radio station, though, on the Who punt returner, that Philly Brown, probably with a classic, maybe one of the plays of the year, that he was interfered with on the punt. The ball was fumbled. Everybody saw the flag go down, stop. He picks up the ball and runs it for a touchdown.
I want to see that one again. I'm still not.
I want to see that one again too, and it's a little funny story behind that. That my partner here left his credential in the car, and we had to actually walk back and get the credential. We missed that play, but riding up in the elevator, our elevator man was giving us a good description of it. From what I hear, it was a play of the year.
Yeah, we'll watch the replay on that one.
We'll go back and have to check that out on the highlights because I'm sure we'll see that again, though. But, you know, it's hard to explain. I don't know what had happened to this defense the last 2 weeks because they started out, yeah, they've been through a lot of adversity, losing one of their players and stuff like that, and they've had a couple of injuries right there too. But, I mean, this was a top-ranked defense and just got torched the last 2 weeks. And they weren't really missing that many players, though, and I don't know whether it was distraction, just poor technique, or what it was, though. But they seem, and in talking with Thomas DeCoux after the game, who had a huge interception on a 50-cent overthrow, which led, I think, to the tying field goal that they got, though. He said the guys seemed to have gotten their confidence back, and if so, then, you know, beware the rest of the NFL.
And that's obviously going to be critical to the kind of success that the Panthers have this year. And again, there was a feeling in the locker room that after 2 games on the heels of 2 good games, two games where the Panthers just did not look like the defense they had the first 2 games, that they were back to that early season form, and they're obviously hoping to keep that as they move forward. And if they do, it could take them quite a ways into the season.
Well, next up they'll go, I think, to play the Cincinnati Bengals, who may be one of the best teams in NFL right now. And I think right after that they're going to follow it up with a trip to Lambeau Field. So the next couple of weeks are going to be kind of interesting.
Yeah, it should be, and hopefully along the way there will be some players that can come back from injuries, but again, that's part of football, and that's again something that we were hearing. They realize that, you know, you don't quit, you don't give up when you have players that go down with injuries or suspensions or anything else. But the next guy steps up, and that's what it takes to keep going. That's exactly what the Panthers did today.
We heard those exact words from Charles Johnson, one of the captains and defensive player there, that this team all year long has been next man up. And I think they've got to feel a lot better right now too. I still don't know when they'll get D'Angelo or Jonathan Stewart or any of those players back, though. But they got to feel better that, you know, these 2 young running backs came on and did an adequate job today.
I think I was disappointed that with those running backs out, that we have a backup running back, Fozzie Whitaker, and he looked awfully good in the preseason, but yet he was hurt. He couldn't get in the game, and what better game for a running back named Fozzie to be in than against the Bears? Muppet fans everywhere would love to have seen Fozzie play the Bears.
And we thought we saw the 3 Bears in the stands today.
We did. They good costume, not so much for October weather in Carolina, but pretty good costumes for a football game for Chicago weather.
And they actually were hibernating over Bill's shoulder right back over here. 3 Bears were sitting about 8 rows up wearing Bear suits right there, though, and I know they went home as disappointed Bears. I guess they were embarrassed today.
I don't know if I can bear any more of your puns, so
moving right along, though. So, again, good win today for the Carolina Panthers. Again, gutsy performance. It was gut check at halftime, or really gut check right before halftime. The Panthers make a way to stop the nosebleed, and find a way to win. And, again, on a beautiful day for football today, the fans went home happy.
They did. A lot of fans here. It was good to see the crowd into the game. That obviously means a lot. And as the Panthers hung in there, the crowd hung in there with them, and it was quite loud in here down the stretch. Very
special game, I know, today, too, because Ron Rivera was a former Chicago Bear, played on the Super Bowl team, I think, with William Perry and those guys, Steve Fuller from Spartanburg, where we're from, and those guys coached with the Bears. I think this was a very – he even mentioned that in the post-game press conference, how big of a win it was for him against his former guys.
And he did not want the game to be about him versus the Bears, but obviously his players were aware of that, and Greg Olson spoke to that as well after the game, and he said obviously they all want to win every game for the coach, but this probably had a little bit extra motivation. They wanted to send Rivera out with a win against his former team.
Well, it's been fun. It's been fun having the Cox brothers team up with you on postgame today, and our postgame show has been brought to you by our friends at the Beacon Drive-In, by Concoction Ministries, by the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, by the West Side Club, also by some of our other friends at Vic Bailey Volkswagen, by Larry's Trophies. We appreciate these people who make our broadcast possible, though, but it's been a lot of fun. We'll have to do this again.
It has. Next time, I promise I will not leave my credentials in the car.
If you do, you will be sitting with the people up there in the bear suits.
Yes, I will probably be buying tickets on the outside from scalpers.
On the bottom line was we got to walk off our lunch before we ever ate it.
Exactly. Sorry about that.
It's been real. It's been fun. We'll do it again in the near future. For Bill Cox, I am Dick Cox saying have a good week, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks from Bank of America Stadium. Goodbye, everybody.